Hello, everyone. I think we're alive. I'll wait until you let me know for sure that we've got audio, and I will get started. It looks like audio is working. I think I'm okay. Audio check. Okay, so tonight is the last of a set of 3, because we had a lot of submissions, of the art critiques that Patreon members have sent in. So I am not currently taking any more submissions at this time. Actually, I closed that off last week because we had so many. We have a lot to go through tonight, so I'll try to get through them more quickly and not ramble about the same stuff over and over again like I usually do. So yeah, that is it. I think we are good. As always, these are just the bits of advice I would give my own students in person. Don't feel like this is a negative thing. Like if I give you advice or say it'd be a good idea to change something, I don't think you even necessarily need to like run out and change the current painting. Just take that bit of advice and apply it to your next one. Sometimes you can change the current one, but sometimes just apply that bit of advice to the next one. And this is also helpful for those of you when your art isn't being critiqued. These bits of advice you can take and hopefully apply to your own. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up the first one. Already have them pulled up. So this is from Terry, who said, let's see, this is Colored Pencil, Faber-Castell and Caran d'Ache. The reference photo comes from Unsplash. The background is Pan Pastel. And he had said in the initial one that, so here's the initial one. There were 2 before he went back and darkened it up. So I'll show you that in a moment. But he had said that his computer was showing the drawing is more orange than in life, but he didn't know how to fix, or she, actually, I'm not sure, Terry, doesn't know how to fix that. So let's take a look at that. The first thing I want to talk about is when you're having a hard time with your reference photo, well, not reference photo, the photo when you're taking photos of your art, I always pull into the Lightroom. Every time. And it's easier if I can put like a white card, a white piece of paper next to it, and you just have a little eyedropper tool to automatically adjust the white balance, and that's going to give you usually pretty accurate. One of the things that I like to do and the reason that I like Lightroom, actually, let me pull it up so you can see. We'll just pull it into this and I'll show you what I would do. Lightroom. I think it'll show on here. Let's find out. Hold on. I've got 2 computer monitors going. It's going to load. We're going to sit here and the great part about it loading is it completely blocked my screen. I can't see right now what is happening with you guys. Here, we'll do it this way. Oh, are you just going to freeze Lightroom? I mean, I guess that's cool too. We could certainly, yeah, you're just going to freeze. Let's try to close you. Yeah, close the program. No, I don't need you to send a report. I just need you to open. Let's try it again. And again. It's just not respond. Yeah, come on. Come on. Like, it's just, there we go. We're thinking about it. It's a possibility. And my whole computer is not happy about this. Why are you being weird, Lightroom? I don't usually have that many issues with you. You just sit here and stare at each other awkwardly. Come on. Usually when it doesn't respond the one time, it'll respond another time, and it is not. It is really angry. Let's close it and try it one more time, and then I'm just going to tell you. Well, no, I needed to open it. I thought I was all prepared. I had everything ready to go except for Lightroom, apparently. I think I'm going to try to pull it up and just let it set, and maybe it'll figure its own crap out, because it's not even trying to do anything. Okay, well, while we wait to see if anything happens there, let's come over and then talk about a couple things on this besides the adjusting the colors. So one of the things I will say, going back to the Lightroom, every single time I take a photo, I have to pull it into the Lightroom and adjust it to make it look as much like it in person or on the computer as it does in person. And the thing that you've got to watch, and I see people do this sometimes, they will edit it and they're like, oh, I'm going to adjust the contrast and the value, adjust a few things on this and it looks better. But that's not what your painting looks like. That's just my main thing. Oh, good, it's thinking about it. That's just, oh, here, take his feedback and win $500. Is that why you're freezing up? Because you're trying to force your crap on me? But anyway, let's see if I can get this over here. So actually, if this shows, I'll just show you what I did on mine. I have to do this every single time. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, let me open this a little bit more. So this is one of the ones that I was most recently having to adjust, was a painting of a goldfish and a fork, because why not? Let's see. So what I have to do here, was this the edited one? I think, were you the one I edited? No, you were not the one I kept. So all of them are going to be slightly off. So what I will do is, let's just use this as an example. These were not the ones I ended up going with. But I know that my baseboards, oh, look, it's not dirty at all. Actually, that's from the vacuum cleaner. I need to fix it. I should dust those, huh? But I can take this little eyedropper tool and go, I know that's white. I click it, and it's going to automatically adjust how cool or warm the color is. Like, it needed to cool down a lot to be as accurate as it was in person. But you can put a piece of paper, that's way better. I put that next to the artwork and I will adjust it. I can then come through, I can, like here, my shadows needed to come down. My whites need to be bumped a bit. You know, you can mess with things like this in order to make it look as much like the original as possible. And Lightroom is just so helpful for that. And there are probably, if someone wants to leave a comment, there may be free, I'm sure there's plenty of free apps you can use. Lightroom's just what I use. But that is what I do for everything. It just makes life much easier. So anyway, let's pull that in. I'll show you really quick what I would do with this portrait. So I'm going to pull the one that was too orange, the first one. This is not the final one, but I'm going to pull that in. So let's say in this case, I can just come over here and let's say it's specifically orange. Now I have two options. One, I can come through with and just change the temperature. So the white balance, I can pull that down wherever it needs to go. Or let's say it's just orange for some reason. And I have this happen where teal colors don't want to be, they come out too blue and not teal enough. I can come and pick a specific color, like here, orange is just too orange. Do I want to make it more pink? Do I want to make it more yellow? Or do I just want to desaturate it a little bit? Go back to 0. There we go. I can just pull the saturation down on the orange itself or hype it up. So you have a lot more control in Lightroom than, like, say, in Photoshop. Anyway, I'm not going to close that app all the way because we had some issues. So let's go on to this one. Or to the artwork. The artwork that was sent, this was the original, and the artist came back and said that where's the email? They went back and changed it. They darkened the background. And look I talk about this all the time. Hype up your contrast. What a difference it makes if you correct your values. Look at this. Came back and resubmitted with better values. And I'm not sure if they just fixed that with the artwork or if they fixed it with Photoshop or Lightroom, whatever. But what a difference that makes when you really do. Like, it's just so much more striking. So let's go on to actual tips on this one. This is very well drawn, very accurate to the original. So great job there. But a few things you want to watch for when you're drawing kids. One thing, the shoulder here, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Pen. Oh, and I don't even know which one I have you. Yeah, that'll work. The shoulder, look how harsh this is. This would look better, and you can see that in the photo too. Soften that out. Let that fade out. Don't feel like you need to make every line super crisp. A lot of times, it's going to look more natural if certain lines, pay attention to this in your reference photos. What is a harsh line, a nice crisp line, versus what just kind of has a soft edge and fades out into the background? This we really want to capture. It will help give your work a lot more depth. And so that would be a case, I would tone the shoulder. This one here, like, look how harsh that is. If you tone that down, push it out so that it's just kind of fading into the background, that is going to give you a lot more depth in the piece. One of the things I love is that you kept a really nice harsh line for your shadows, but I would brighten those up even more. I think that's one of the things that makes this photo so awesome, is how bright that is. So yours is more of a cream. That's almost straight white on the photo. I mean, it's very overexposed, but it looks good. So that would be my next tip. Again, I love that your drawing is very accurate, so we don't have a lot that we need to worry about there. Most of what I would focus on are getting the darks darker. So if we look, let me pull up a new. Oh, and as usual, I should mention that. Just because I had to have something for the auction on the front page of my site. This guy's normally, I think, $250 on my website. You can buy him for $70, $75. I don't know what it is, but the link is the link is not in the video description, actually, because I forgot to do that. Lachri.com on the front page. If you want this cute little house finch, he's got a nice, I'll show you. Look, wait, hold on. I can't even see if I can see. I'm just holding it in front of the camera, hoping it's, yeah, good enough. He's got a cute little damask background, and you can see that. So we've got kind of a neutral gray background with damask and a cute little house finch. Anyway, that's an 8x10. So if you want to get some cheap art, let's see. Back to what I was actually trying to do. Let me open a, actually we'll go 300. Hold on. I'm just going to make a little box really quick so we can put a layer fill in there. And this will make it easier. Okay. So what I want you to see is how much contrast we really want to get on these values. Here's the darkest dark in the shadow of the side of the face on the reference photo. So we're looking at this box here. That is really dark. This is where you're at. So you can go so much darker in that. And as we get into, let's say, the mid-tone. So this has a very bluish almost tone. Like it's a very kind of a cooler, soft shadow there. Yours is a lot brighter, which is funny because I said over here, make it brighter. But see here, you shouldn't, this one should be a lot brighter on the side than what it is. Here, look at the contrast on the reference photo. There's the highlight on the cheek and the shadow versus the face is just pretty much white. So like a white pencil, white. Leave the white of the paper showing. Get that high contrast. That's going to give you a bit more depth. And you've started it. It's just not as high contrast is what you really want to go with in order to get that. And that's really, you can do this on any of your work. Go through when you're not sure, like here's that shadow there. It's not that far off, so that's good. So there's the tips, just watching your values. Really, really watch that. That is going to make such a difference in your work. The next thing I want to talk about on this one is the, let's see, the lips. Watch when you're doing lips on children. Well, on anybody. You've got the bottom lip darker than the upper lip. Now, in this case, because of the way that her hand is, that she is casting an odd shadow, but normally the upper lip would be darker than the bottom lip because most people's upper lip is slightly turned down. It's getting a little bit weird with the ladies and their over-the-top fillers and duck lips. So those folks are going to have different rules than a natural-looking human. So being that this is a toddler, I don't think that she's gotten into the weird duck lip fillers, so we're good so far. Sorry if you have duck lips, but we need to know this as artists. There's a difference. Okay, her upper lip is just way too light. So even though, again, she's in the reference photo that is in shadow, I would still make that upper lip a lot darker. Be careful with kids, and I think you did a pretty good job on this one. Be careful on the edge that you don't make their lips too defined, or it'll make it look like they're wearing lipstick where you don't want to, but I think you did a good job keeping that soft. Onto the eyes, again, everything needs to be more shaded. Now, one of the things on this, you're very, very blotchy in a lot of these areas, and I can tell, with the pencils, just the way that it blended, it ended up really blotchy. Do smaller circles and a lighter hand and just keep lightly layering, especially if you're using polychromos. The Caran d'Ache Luminance, you can get away, it'll blend out a little bit easier with OMS, but you definitely, on the skin, I would get rid of some of the blotchiness, like just be a little bit more careful on the way that you're layering that, so that it's not quite so blotchy. Now, that could be personal preference, though, because I will accept on this that you liked how that looked, that it gave it a texture, and I'm okay with that. So that's going to be personal preference. That's just what I would do. Now, the curls in the hair. Watch curls on hair. You're trying to create actual loops in several locations. I can see the loops in there. You should not be able to see loops. That is not how hair is going to look. The way that you'll actually get hair, if we pull this over, look at, we've got a strand, we've got shadow, shadow, highlight. On most curls, that is what you're going to get. It's either going to be shadow, shadow, highlight, but don't try to do loop-de-loos. Loop-de-loos, just, it flattens it out and it turns it into a cartoon from being realistic. And this is going to be true curly hair on a dog, curly hair on a person, any curly hair on any animal. I guess horses sometimes have curly hair, kind of frizzy, but if it's braided. But anyway, you want to watch the way that these, like here, we've got just this whole strand is dark. This one is light, medium in the middle, light on the end. And that's really what you want to look at when you're looking at curly hair. Where's the shadow? Where's the highlight? Because right now we've got all mid-tone. We don't have any definite lights. We don't have any definite darks. You've pulled in these reddish tones, and I see what you're looking at on the reference photo, but they're not really needed. If I were to do that hair, I would probably go with black, Van Dyke brown or something around there. Some kind of cream or white, light gray would work for some of these highlights, something light. But the orangey red color, I would not pull that in there unless you were lightly going over all the brown to change the tint. But like the little strands in there are they're pulling my attention there, and they shouldn't. But yeah, the hair is the main. Get your darks darker for the majority of the piece on the face, and then the darks in the hair. Get the darks in there. Watch the curls, that they're not just definite, you know, your definite loop-de-loos where we can see the whole strand. Really slow down the hair. I spend more time on a portrait. I usually do the hair first because I hate it. It takes forever. It doesn't, like, people don't look at a painting and go, oh, wow, you did such a good job on the hair. What do they always say? Oh, the eyes look great. The eyes, the eyes, the eyes. The eyes are easy. The eyes are the fast part. The hair is the part that takes so long. So I do that first because it's boring, and it is the most time-consuming part to do it right. So I like to knock that out of the way. The other bonus with starting with the hair first is the hair is going to have your darkest dark. So we know that is straight out black for the darkest shadows in there. That is going to make it easier for you when you get into working on the values in the face. You're going to have such an easier time when you're up against the black. You've already got these darks on the paper. So it makes it easier for you to judge your values. If you start with the face, you will almost always have everything way too light. I mean, way too light. Start with the darkest areas in the piece, knock those out. I know this is just straight black. It's so dark, we're going straight black. It's going to be easier for you. You're not going to go too light on the skin if you've gotten the hair as dark as it needs to go in those darkest bits. So now there are going to be exceptions. A child with really light, pale blonde hair, obviously that's going to be a bit different. Last tip on this is going to be the eyebrows. Watch on eyebrows on children, especially because the hair is very thin. Their eyebrows, they don't have those adult or like thick eyebrow hairs. Each individual hair on a child is nearly translucent. So you really want to watch that these little hairs start fading out, and they're not usually waxing their eyebrows yet. So you're going to have more of these little baby hairs, really light, kind of fading out there. You will pretty much, there's always going to be an exception where a child has like super dark eyebrows to begin with, but usually the little ones, it's almost translucent. That hair is so thin at that age that you shouldn't have a definite like line for an eyebrow. You want it to sort of fade. You've got the little baby hairs in there. So that's my next tip. But great work on this. I love that you got that contrast. Good reference photo too. Really good example of choosing a good reference photo. Okay, let's see. Next we have we've got two from this artist. Let me just download these and we'll go through them quickly maybe. Actually, this one is such a bad angle of the photo, I can't say a whole lot about it, I don't think. So it will be my example of take straight on photos of your artwork, at least for critiques. Let me pull these up. How many of you are cringing right now going, oh crap, I hope it's not mine? She's already talking crap about it. That's not a good start. Okay, let me pull these up. I just pulled way too much in here. Some of these don't need, nope, that one we already did. That one I don't need. That one I don't need. Okay. So we've got our reference. God, this looks like my in-laws' past dog, Rosie. Like, wow. She looked, but her ears stood up all the way. Okay. So let's pull you and the art. Nope, not that one. Actually, we'll just shrink you down. Shrink you down. Okay. So my first tip, I like the angles like this when you're taking, staging your art. If you're going to be posting it online for social media or anything like that, taking good photos like this is cool. When somebody's trying to check the accuracy for you, I can't do, I mean, I'm going to be limited when the angle is off. So, just a tip when you're trying to show off like the accuracy like that. But I really like this sort of angle. If it was positioned on like a cool wool table, I can't talk, not a wool table. I don't know who's got a wool table, wood table with like your colored pencil spread around it, that sort of angle, then that's awesome. But when you're trying to show the accuracy, like comparing, we want to go straight on then, because it completely skews when it's laid down, it skews it. So I'm like, it might be accurate, it might not, I'm not sure. So anyway, just a quick tip there. Let's read what you say. I've been doing pet portrait commissions for friends and family since 2020. This is from Kaylin. My goal is realism or as close as possible. I'm sending two, but don't feel the need to go over both. My main thing is I've been less motivated recently because I keep comparing awesome portraits to the current one I'm working on. My awesome portraits to the current one I'm working on. I lose interest and get dejected because it just isn't good, or I take way longer than I would have otherwise. For example, the chug on the blanket. Let's see. I feel like I did well on. I had many, many very good HD photos given to me from the owner, so I was able to even color correct the photo slightly. I'm still able to look past any minor mistake. Okay, this is a lot of writing. Let me skim through, you guys. Let's see. On the other hand, while I like the photos of the two German short hairs, I go back and forth. Somehow I messed up the proportions on the leg. I use a grid, so my drawings are done very incrementally, but sometimes those proportions are just off. Yes, trace it then. That is your solution. Though some of the distortion on the photo. Basically, what are some tips to make proportions easier to match even with gridding, and how to convince myself that some artistic liberties, like where specific white hair lays, are completely okay? Okay. So obviously you've got your values. We don't need to really go over that. You did a great job. The blanket, I think you did a great job. The lighting, oh, I love the color and the tag. Beautiful, beautiful work. So your accuracy is great. I don't really have anything there. When it comes to a grid, so here's the thing about the grid method. It's very, very common for artists when using the grid method, and I'm not seeing that on this one. Let me see if you have it on the other one. Their work tends up coming out blocky. Like, oh, that's not what I need. Again, we've got a weird, see, yeah, you don't seem to have the problem with the blockiness that I sometimes see with the grid method. So you're in luck there. Grid method is working out okay with you. One of the things that I often see with grid method is people naturally almost want to follow those straight lines. And so things that should be curved, they're making too straight. And so the artwork is like sharp and more angular. It's a very odd look. You are not having that problem. So you are okay with the grid. Now you're talking about things taking too long. I don't see anything wrong with tracing. It saves time. You can draw. You can clearly draw. If you trace, you're not tracing because you can't draw. So here's the thing. I'll cover it once because I'm sure I'll bring it up again. So we'll just go through and the initial. When you trace, people have this idea that tracing is like skipping ahead. It's cheating. It's not. Tracing, if you can already draw, which you can, all it does is speed things up. If one of your things you're struggling with, things taking too long, you're not getting motivated, we can save so much time. So I can spend 16 hours perfecting a portrait. Probably wouldn't take me that long. But let's say I spent 16 hours on a portrait. Those 16 hours could have gone towards the actual painting. And now, like, I can get so much more work. I don't care if there's a handful of elitist people who don't understand how art works, who think that tracing is this bad cheating thing. Cheating is not an instant win button. It is something that if you can already draw, it saves you time. If you can't draw, it helps you to notice things and draw more accurately than if you were practicing just freehanding alone. I'm always telling everybody, I recommend that you trace something. Let's say you trace it 5-10 times, then freehand it, then trace it again, then freehand it. You want to mix freehanding in there. But if you just freehanded it the 5-10 times, you're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. The learning process is now being extended a lot. There's a lot of BS out there where people claim that if you trace or you'll never be able to freehand it. None of it's true. None of it. I've been teaching since the 90s. Trust me, I'm older than I look. None of that is true. So don't, don't be hesitant. If you're doing this professionally, I need to save time. I need to get as much work done as possible. I'm not, because some elitist person who wasn't going to buy my work anyway is like, no, you're cheating. You can't do it. I don't care what that person thinks. I care about creating awesome artwork. I give no craps about how they worry about it. Now, if you don't think that's fun, if you enjoy the drawing side of it, that's fine too. I just want to, you're talking about being a bit frustrated and things taking long and losing motivation. This is something that I think can help, because you can jump into what I consider the fun part. Now, everyone thinks different stages of the piece is fun. So if you enjoy the drawing, again, that's going to depend on the individual person. But I definitely, save yourself the time, get into that. So that's going to help when you're like, oh, I don't have motivation because it's taking too long or whatever. So just a little rant there. But your specific things as far as being able to take artistic liberties, it depends on what those artistic liberties are. When it comes to the marking and the ticking on a breed like this, that needs to be pretty accurate. You can't be too, let's see, let's move the reference photo over. Like a couple of things here on this. No, he does have a line there, but yours is a little too harsh. One of the things, see, this is standing out, is too defined. And while those lines are on the reference, let me shrink that a bit. They're there. They're just, you want to break up the ticking a little bit. Get some variation in there when you're working on a breed like that, or brindle dog, same thing. Just break it up a little bit so the pattern's not like too defined in that area, because my attention is being drawn to his rump and it shouldn't be. And it's just because of how harsh some of these lines are, I think. So anyway, just quick kind of side thing. I would not have accepted this angle. I think you did a great, fabulous job for the photo you've taken. It's a difficult angle. It's difficult to make that look very good. So I don't like it because it's too easy to make. I mean, they look like they're floating in the photo. So it's just not my favorite angle. I think you did an excellent job there. Your darks can be darker as always. As far as taking, ooh, this looks weird. So this is one of the things I would watch on the photo. And it is like this on the photo. That, whoops, weird. That is very odd. Like in the photos, very odd. You did a good job. What I would probably do there, if you pulled a shadow in here, that leg wouldn't look so weird. So that would be one of those artistic liberties where you're like, can I put a white hair in a different place? A white hair, they need to be in the right place for the dog. But when it comes to this, you can put a shadow. Let's go ahead and pull that down. Oops. If you put a shadow in there and really darken that, that leg is not going to look so weird. Let that leg fade into the shadow on the chest. That's going to fix a lot of what is just standing out too much to me. But again, it is a weird angle. That isn't on you, it's on the photo. I would try to get the owner to provide me with better photos. Every single weirdness on it that I'm looking at the art, almost all of it, I'm like, that's a photo. When a photo, what looks weird in a photo, people accept because it's real. It's a photo. But when you do it in art, it makes it look like you kind of screwed it up when you didn't. It's very hard to make that look good. If this were me and someone was like, this is my photo I want you to draw, I would say, I need you to try again. I am definitely not going to do that. So, I mean, I know you're limited by what the client provides, but I would encourage them strongly to try a different angle. Now, besides that, let's look at this one some more. We've got areas in here around the face that I think we could certainly, let me change pens back. We could certainly make stand out more. If we look at this, whoops, that is really thick, wrong one. Look at how dark, if we get that shadow, but look at how light this is. Over here, it's just kind of blending in a way that doesn't, you're losing dimension. So this angle, it's hard to, this lighting, kitchen lighting, it is going to be hard to make it look three-dimensional at the best of times. So now you're combining an unfortunate angle with you're going to have to hype up your contrast even more. So yours is darker than the photo, or more muted than what the photo is, and you can't get away with that on a bad angled photo. So this photo being kind of weird, you're losing dimension anyway. You have got to make sure your brights are a little bit brighter. Your darks are a little, I would punch both of those up. Make the darks a little darker, the lights a little lighter to really play up. You want this area on the face to stand out more, so you need that lighter than what it is. Let's see. You really want to watch the direction on the ticking. So you talked about, can you have a white line or a hair going in a different direction? You can, but watch the direction. There's some, make sure it's obvious. See how we're curving? It's like curved more than what you've got there. Little things like that. If you can get the general motion, I think you could probably get away with it better. But right now we're very straight everywhere. It's not quite the curve that we want to create the underlying bone and muscular structure of this guy. It just it's very flat. So yeah, a few things in there I would change. I would definitely be pulling blues in. Now you worked on a yellow paper, so you don't, I can see where you might not want to do blues. I would do purple then. It needs I think it needs another color for some of these shadows. Yeah, and I would definitely pull those highlights. I mean, even if you look at this guy, look how nice these highlights are. All on the head. So as much as I'm complaining about this photo, I do like that you can really see the shine on the dog's head. That I think you need to play up more. Make those brights a bit brighter. Pull some purples. Get more purples into those highlights. If you just use white, it's going to look gray, and it'll make him look like he has more of a gray, older face. I think if you pulled some a light purple, purpley gray, that would work. Like Heather for Karadosh, not Karadosh. No, maybe it is Karadosh Luminous. Is that one Heather? Or is it Derwent Lightfast that's Heather? One of them was called Heather, and it's kind of a purpley gray lavender color. That works really good for highlights in a case like this. I think I would go that route. So just a few things, again, pull up those highlights, make them brighter, watch the ticking, go slow on that. Ticking and brindle markings, they are very time consuming, but worth it. It really does make a difference to take your time on those areas. But if it were, like I said, if it were me, I would have been like, no to these. There are aspects I like about the photo, but there's so many that I don't like about the reference photo, not your artwork. Again, I think you did an excellent job. There's so much I don't like about that reference photo. I try to get the client to get down eye level with the dog whenever possible. Now, that's not to say that there aren't times where someone took a photo looking down and it came out amazing. Those are few and far between. When I'm working with a client, I just need okay, I need you to work with me and just get a good photo that will work for this. Try to get down eye level with the dog, whether the dog's sitting on a couch and you're on the floor, that works for some people, or just eye level, and not an above, not midday where the sun's right above or where the kitchen light is shining on their heads. While the lighting actually kind of is okay on that one, not so much for the body, but the angle, no matter what you do, the angle is weird. And I think that's going to bring on a lot of frustrations for you where you're like, oh, the leg is weird. This is weird. The photo's weird. Of course yours is going to be weird. You're not going to make it better. I mean, you can kind of change stuff, but if you're like me, if I have to change stuff because I know it's weird looking in the photo, I'm never going to like it. I just need to get a photo that I like. Or if I do need to change stuff, I need to get a photo of something at the angle I want and copy that. I can mix photos, but I need something a lot more accurate there. So few of my tips for you on that one. God, that looks so much like Rosie, my in-law's old dog. I do want to bring up highlights on her face, or his face, Duke. Same thing. He's got a bluish tone, but it kind of comes out gray. You've got a little bit. I would make that highlight stand out a little bit more to make him just a bit more shiny. Purples would work great. You've already got the blue in the collar, so I'd probably stick with more of the blues, but like a light blue, a bluish gray, something like that. Just pulling in those highlights a bit more. And that same bluish color would also be inside the ears. So at the same time that I talked about on the previous portrait, the hair with a little girl, having the curl, spending more time on the hair. Same thing for me, inside of dog's ears and the inside of the mouth. I'm going to knock those out first because they really should. I mean, you don't have the inside of the mouth here, so you don't have to worry about that. But like when a dog's teeth and tongue and everything's showing, I know that's going to take longer than anything else. So I knock those out first and put more time into it. But yeah, the ear should definitely have some blues and purples in there too. And I would use the same blues that you used in the collar. If I used it somewhere else in the piece, I want to use that. Like if I need a blue, I want the same blue I used over here. If that makes sense. Okay, that's lots of tips. Okay, next. Let me download these. Oh, why do we have, oh, wait, oh, is this the one from last time? Let me see. You, and you. Was the one from last time, wasn't it? Yeah, this was the previous critique, the green frog on the flower bud. She took some of my suggestions, very happy with the end result. This was the updated version. Oh, I don't have it saved. I wish I had it saved. God, that looks good. The gold is standing out so much on those leaves. So this was one where I believe the artist is Tina, and she had tried, she wanted it to look like super realistic, but then also more artsy, like pop art style kind of for the leaves. So you had two different styles mixed. Oh my gosh, she took the last critique and holy crap, that looks so good. The frog and the flower they look like the different style. Oh my gosh, I know I'm rambling and no one, some of you guys remember, but I don't have the photo of that. Wow. I just want to show you that real quick is, oh my gosh, you took my, this is exactly like, oh, it's wonderful. Okay, good job. So tonight's critique for Tina, right? Tina? So it looks like we're doing the same thing again where we are mixing two different styles. Now, one of the things I like is I haven't even read what she wrote and I can already tell what she's doing here, mixing two different styles. That is such a huge improvement because last time that frog, before she made those adjustments, I couldn't tell they were supposed to be two different styles. It just looked like it wasn't really well done on the leaves. Not that they look flat versus they're supposed to look flat, you know? Oh, this time like it is so clearly two different styles. Oh, hey, look, my postcards are in the background. Oh, I need to put stamps on the last 2 months worth. Those will be coming soon. Anyway, man, I haven't read it yet, but the more I look at this, because I already know where she's going with this, the two different styles of art. So we've got the super realistic looking koala, which very well done. And then this really like kind of pop art, artsy feeling for the tree and the leaves. Well done. So she says, let's see. It has taken a little courage to share another painting for critique. My style may not be for everyone. It doesn't need to be. So that is an important thing. Your style doesn't need to be for everybody. Heck, goldfish painting that I showed you guys, at the beginning you saw the fork with the goldfish. I had a few people who did not like that at all. I haven't done enough surreal work that people who are following me don't realize that's actually my primary goal as an artist is my surreal work. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't need to be for everybody. It needs, that specific painting needs to be for one person. There's going to be one person who thinks that is the most beautiful thing they have ever seen, like that frog. Dear God, I love your frog. Oh, everything about it. The gold, that you did an excellent job on that one. You only need one buyer. Well, okay, if you're selling prints, you'll need a handful more than that. You want to build a following, but you don't need everybody to love everything you do. The fact that this is unique just set you apart from everybody else. I do a lot of wildlife stuff. I do a hummingbird. I do a rose. I do a normal painting. I'm no different than anybody else who painted those same things. I mean, yeah, I do a good job. They're pretty. But it's the same thing everyone else is doing. What then, and this is what I like about surrealism, what can I do that separates me from the other artists? In your case, another artist, millions of artists, maybe not millions, I don't know, thousands. I don't know how many people are painting koalas. There are a lot. Yours stands out because yours is different, and I love that. Yours doesn't have to look just like everybody else, and it doesn't have to make everybody else happy. So don't have that concern that it's not everyone's cup of tea. It does not need to be. It shouldn't be. It's never going to be. It's, what is it? You're never going to make everyone happy. So I don't know what the saying is. What is it? You can't make everyone happy. So my goal is to not bother. So yeah, no, that you did good there. Anyway, while I love realism, I've been working on adding an extra abstract stylized component to my paintings. Excellent work. I enjoy merging the two styles. It brings a little extra interest to the piece. Absolutely agree. So I value your opinions. Let's see. Okay. So, though the main thing on this one, I think that we could hype up the contrast on the koala. Get your darks darker. Make him stand out a little bit more. Make him, because again, we're back to, you're combining the realism with the other. Make the contrast stronger. And you did that with well, you can't see it because of my mouse. But with the tree, I think you've really done that. It is obviously, it's not supposed to look like a flat tree. It's supposed to look like this very stylized tree. But make the koala even more realistic. And I think when you're mixing those two styles, just go to the extreme, as realistic as you can do, and then you've got the extreme of the more stylized version. So yeah, mainly on the koala, I would say get those darks a lot darker would be my advice there. That's really it. I do like, now I will say there is a nice flow and nice balance with the softness. So if you make the koala a lot darker, you may have to make some of the darks on the tree a little bit darker as well to make sure that the balance, because even though it's two different styles, you still need it to balance, obviously. I mean, it's the same thing with abstract art. A lot of people think that they can just paint something with their feet and they're like, it's abstract, it is good. No, it still needs to have balance. There's a difference between good abstract and folks who want to feel artsy but don't actually want to learn how to make things look good. There's a difference. So no matter what you're doing, you still want to follow general, keeping a balance, which you've got right now with him being more muted. It has a nice balance, but I think it would look better if the koala had more of those darks in there. But again, that's going to mean you need to make some of the darks a little bit darker on the tree. But I mean, if we look at the rear end here, look at the shadows in there, darker here. We've got these darks a lot darker, around the ears a lot darker. I'd spend a little bit more time on the texture in the fur. You've started it. I mean, you've got the start of it. Get the darks a little bit darker though. The darks, the shadow under. So here, we look at that deep shadow under the hand over the tree. I would put that shadow on the tree too. Like, let that continue right there. But excellent work. I'm really excited to see the tree frog, of course, is going to be my favorite because the tree frog and the high contrast in colors. But I like that I was able to look at this one and immediately know you were mixing two different styles. And that is a huge improvement from the first time we saw the tree frog. Now you fixed it. The tree frog, we now can see that it's two different styles clearly. And I love the addition of that gold. But yeah, that's what I've got for that one. Great work. I'm just excited to see that level of improvement. Like, you got it. You totally knew what I was talking about making those two styles more obvious. Okay, so we've got, let me download these. Why are there three? Okay, this is from Sandra. Let me pull these up. Seriously, I'm really excited about that frog painting you did. That is gorgeous. You need you. Don't need you. No, wait. Stop. User error. And there was one more. There it is. Okay, so this is Sandra. This is a reference photo. Let's pull. I'm not sure why there are three. Let's see if I can figure that out. We'll come back. Maybe there's a reason there's a box around that. Let's see. Still consider, okay. I think this is the third piece I've done that is not just me following a tutorial. Congratulations, nice. I've had to invent a little bit of wood, but I'm happy with how it turned out, both the wood and the picture as a whole. This is about an 8.3 inch by 11.7 inch colored pencil on drafting film. That is not easy to use. Attached a rotated version of it that I used. Let's see, realism. The challenges were, ow, my elbow. The transition from the yellow to blue feathers. How do you get very fine lines that overlap blue without mixing them into green? I've since found out that I can put down the yellow layer and go over it with the blue and remove the blue with the slice tool to get the desired effect. Yes, that will work. But I wonder if there are other ways. Oh, there's always a lot of ways, especially since I don't normally use drafting film. The lichen, lichen. I don't know how to say that. I never know. On the wood, I didn't do a good job copying it exactly. Instead, I put down different colors until it felt good enough. How do I go about these two things? Just in is it a case of just copy abstract shapes? Usually. I feel like I would have needed a bigger surface to do those small details justice. Also usually the case. Do I have any advice in general about where to go from here? What can I do better in the future? Okay. And this again is Sandra. So let's see. whenever I'm working, the first thing that stands out to me, I don't like, and I talk about it's, let things fade into the background if a light area fades in light. Sure, fine, most of the time, not now. I would actually take a little bit of blue, and actually let's just do a new new layer. I would take a little bit of that blue and just, not this pen, what are you doing? Let's pay attention to what you're doing there. Anyway, I would break that up just a little bit of a shadow, and not just a line, but just something so you can see where that's separate, so the face doesn't completely fade. If it was a wing, if it was a feather on the tail, a feather anywhere else, I'd let it fade into the background. But because it's the face, then I'm going to break my own rule of let it fade into the background, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in just a little bit. Just go ahead and separate that. But I want to see some variation in there anyway. I mean, you've got the start of these feathers. Get some more blues in there. A lot more blues in there. I mean, we really want to start building up some of that detail right now because the white is extremely flat. And this part's actually really easy to do because it's white. So you can put your blues on top. You just need your pencils to be extremely sharp, but I would definitely work on getting that open. Now in the photo, his beak is open. I would not personally do that in the artwork because when I first looked at yours, it just looked weird. Like, yeah, I would definitely go ahead and let's close up your beak a little bit would be my advice. Like, let's just, in order to make it look closed, I'm going to pull it out a little bit further, but I don't want that to stand out that much more. Yeah, already it just has a more natural look. So the photo you chose is great, but the beak being open in an artwork like that, either I want the beak all the way open like he's singing or talking, or I want it closed, but in the artwork with that, like, that's what I would go with there. Now we're running into the same problem here with the blue, or there's white. So his face, because we can't see this, looks too skinny. And we actually, so I'm just going to pull it out with blue instead of, since we obviously can't put white over white, get some blue in there where that needs to be. I pulled it down too far. Do as I say, not as I do. I hope you actually look at your reference photo unlike what I just did. But anyway, pull some of that out. So again, we're changing the shape of his face just by those few little things. Look at what a difference we can make. Now, one of the things you talked about was getting the green. So this area, well, I think you can see my mouse. Does it show? I don't know if my mouse is showing. Hold on. Pull that up. Is the mouse showing when I do that? Yes. So this area in here, I see the green you're talking about. So for me, if I was doing that, I would do the yellow feathers first, and I would draw around it with the blue, because the blue, being as dark as it is, it's going to cover enough of the yellow that it's not typically going to come out looking really green. If you try to put yellow over the blue, then it mixes in and it starts smudging the blue into the yellow as you're working that back and forth, and that's where you get the green. But if you're putting the blue around the yellow, it's not as likely to have that happen, just because blue being darker. So that is how I would achieve that. Another method, now you were on drafting film, so I probably wouldn't do this, but like you can use, if I'm working on hot press watercolor paper, those little feathers where I want to overlap a light over a dark, I would use Touch Up Texture titanium white mixture, paint in white over the blue where I want those little yellow feathers, let it dry, and then put yellow on top, and it'll stand out nice and strong. So that's a method to go with. You can also, some yellows are a little bit more opaque than others, so I might take an eraser with like the Faber-Castell Perfection eraser if it was big enough. Yours is not, it wouldn't have worked on your case, but if it's a bigger piece, I can erase some of the blue and then put yellow if it's a really opaque yellow, and sometimes that will cover enough, sometimes you'll get greenish. It just depends on how translucent that yellow is. But oh man, the feet and the branch, holy wow, you did a good job. Oh my, I just now noticed that, like, you put so much work into, oh, those feet look good. Dang, I'm impressed. For the lichen, I don't know how to say it. I would put a little bit more detail in there, a little bit more squiggle. So it doesn't need to be like tons of detail. Just, oops, let's actually bump this up quite a bit. Maybe not that much. But start getting some little, just break it up with a black pencil or a dark brown. Probably not black, dark brown. And pull some of, look at, like, it doesn't take a lot. You're just getting little holes in there, so it's not as much of a solid mass. And you can do that over the branches too with a smaller one. Just little little dark, put dark though. I wouldn't try to pull light highlights over it. It's just, it went on a small pencil, the light really not going to show up that much, but the dark will, a sharp dark, or like a black polychromos, or even if you went, like if you wanted to do purples instead of black, you do like nightshade, you would have needed to use that nightshade, by the way. If you're going to go with purples, you need to pull that into your blacks as well. In this case, you actually have black in the bird, so I would pull black into these shadows here, but something dark. And you can break up a lot of this. And if you make these areas darker, then the whites that you already have, like up here, will stand out that much more. But just little, and a polychromos, that is going to cover this. It should, in theory, cover it. Drafting film, I'm not super experienced with that, but it should cover that no problem. Normally a dark would. I think that's it. Just a little bit more detailing, I think, around the face, because I feel like you put a lot more work into the feet than anywhere else, and it shows. They look fabulous, but I want to see a little bit more detail around the face, because that's normally where you want the viewer's attention to be. So a little bit more with the tiny little feathers all around the white areas of the face. So and that's going to be a lot of the blues in there as we get through there. You've got some of you got some of the darks, but we need more. I think you could spend a bit more time there. I mean, we even have some darks in here. We can darken some of the feathers on the back of the head, so we've got some variation in there. Just a little bit more time on the feathers, I think. But wonderful work. Very nice. Okay, next. Ooh, I recognize these or that one photo. Let's see, download. Next is Leah. We've got a copper banded butterfly, some bang-eye cardinals. I have a bang-eye cardinal. His name is Shark Shark. I don't see him right now. He likes to hide. During the day, he sleeps in the back corner. Okay, no one cares, Lisa. Move along. You, and there was one more photo I downloaded where the cardinals. Did they not save? I don't think they saved. Weird. They saved? Where are they? I'm not seeing them for some reason. Oh, there they are. Okay, so we'll pull these up and then read what we've got. So there's the copper banded butterfly. That one, I have the one lesson that these are the bang-eye cardinals. So bang-eye cardinals are neat. They're actually not that gold. That's just because that's how that photo is. These guys are more of your white silver color, and I like using them a lot in my paintings because, or any of the fish that have white as like a white or silver, because it would pick up any colors around it. So let's say my painting is mostly purple. I'm going to make those fish mostly purple so they fit with the painting. They're really easy to make look like they go with the paint, with whatever you're working on. Okay, anyway. And then I got the photo of copper band, and let's see what Leah says. My goal is to take 2 reference pictures and see if I can make a painting that read well. And the reference of the copper banded butterfly fish, there was a lot of light on the bottom side, and I needed it to be dark, so I don't feel like I pulled it off. I would love your thoughts. My end goal is to use my 30-inch convexo canvas to make an underwater scene with various corals, fish, and an octopus as focal. The octopus is going to take up most of that. Those guys, to get the detail in there, plan on spending a lot of time. Octopuses are one of those things I would paint them probably way more often if they weren't so dang time consuming. My gosh, they are like one of the most time consuming things I paint. So just know that going in. Let's see. I know time for critique is limited. The 4th picture is just a black and white I did working to put various corals together. If you have any thoughts on it, thank you for doing these. Okay, so first, I want to talk about the photos that you used, and this is going to be me being extra critical because I keep a reef tank, so and I have that specific fish, the bang-eye cardinal. The photos that you're using, he's a little too rounded in the face. They're more, let's see, let's pull you up. Watch the shape of these guys. Now, let's say you were to sell this painting. the average person's still going to love it because it's obviously a copper banded butterfly and bang-eye cardinals. But if you really want to impress reef keepers, and that's generally who's going, like, percentage of people who want to buy reef art probably are into reef keeping or scuba diving or something where they're familiar with these fish. Watch the shape of the face. So they're a little bit more, it looks like you've got him turning away, which makes sense, but a little bit more of a little pointy face. Give him a snoot for biting your other fish, hence mine being named Shark. So get that mouth sticking out on those guys. The males hold eggs, like when they breed, they hold the eggs or the fry in their mouth, and their mouths are friggin' huge. We want to make sure we got those huge mouths in there. Like, that's what they're known for. Watch, like, the stripes need to be a little bit thicker. And so I would just go a little bit more with the accuracy on your drawings. Watch things like that. This is me getting nitpicky because it is a very pretty painting as it is. You know, things like this, that would be a little bit thinner. And I'm noticing just little things because I paint these guys all the time. I see them all the time. So being super picky. Get the dots a little bit more defined. These white dots in here, let them be more polka dotty. Like, let them stand out a bit more. So thicker black lines, let that stand out more. You did a great job pulling the blue in there. I love that. The copper banded butterfly. So you're talking about where he needed to be darker on the bottom. This and yours is lighter. Yes, but also you can still pull those highlights in here. I mean, if you look at this photo, the light was coming from above. It's always coming from above, but what the cool thing when you paint underwater scenes, that light is bouncing off of everything. It hits the sand bed and it bounces right back up. And now we've got this highlight on the bottom of the fish where even though the sun, or the lighting in this case, is coming from the top, you've got a lot of light bouncing around that you can play with. So don't feel too like light at the top, dark at the bottom all the time. Light would still be bouncing and you could still have this highlight creating a little bit more form on the bottom side of the fish. Then it fades into dark and then it's back to light again. You can have both. And if you look at the photo, that's what he does. He's light. The light is bouncing up there. Then he gets dark, light here, and then dark here. And the reason for that, if you do that right and you copy where the light and the dark is on the photo, it's going to help him to look more three-dimensional because you've got the actual body of the fish is right here. So this, in this area, is your body. This is a separate fin. This is a separate fin. If you can kind of think of it in those parts, I think it makes it easier when you're shading it. So this fin, we want it to look like this part of the body is kind of sticking out because hopefully he's not a skinny copper banded butterfly. They like to starve themselves. So, or people don't feed them what they really need, which is really more. Anyway, having this be darker here, like you see here, helps push that back. So it helps this part of the body to feel like it's coming out more. So you've got light, get dark in here, and then get just a little bit lighter at the bottom, just like what you've got in the reference photo would work. Now, it's okay to leave it as dark as what you got. I just want, like, that works too. But that's one of the reasons this guy's going to look more three-dimensional, and having the light on the bottom is something that you can certainly do. It's not always light from one area. And it's going to come down to your artistic interpretation at this point. At that point, what are you looking for? I just don't want you to feel limited, like, light always the top, dark always the bottom. That light is bouncing off that sand or rocks that are around it and coming right back up and hitting the fish. So light's all over the place when it comes to marine life. What else? I like your water. I like your rays of light. Be careful. This is what happens when I don't make a separate layer. I have to sit there and undo a million times. The rays of light, be careful. I can't undo the last one. You usually want them to be a little bit thinner here and fan out. A little thinner and fan out. So try to do that or play around with it. It's not that sometimes lines aren't just straight, but if you can get some of that variation where it's kind of giving you that more like triangle look, long triangle, that'll give you a more natural look. And also make sure that they're very straight. You don't want them to bend, like, whoops. Well, I guess that works too because mine is not, mine is also bending. But see how we've got kind of a bend in some of those? Watch that. You want those to be very straight. One of the things you can do is take a piece of paper and kind of paint along the edge. One edge will be harsh, so then I would go on the other side and kind of paint it along the other edge if you really have a hard time getting it straight. I do that with an airbrush all the time. I'll have a paper when I'm like, this is too big and my lines are coming out all screwed up. So that is an option, but try to get those to be straight so they're not bouncing all over the place. I think that's it. For shading, yeah, you did good. You used the magenta and oranges for shading the yellows, which is great. And you can pull more colors. I mean, this one has more purples because obviously the background. You've got the yellow, that's fine. You don't have to pull purple. You can, it would look cool, but if you know, again, go back to what are your goals? No, you did a really good job. Now, depending on how much detail you want to get, you can start getting some of the little shimmery marks, little highlights for the scales in there. And that depends on how big you go. Like, let's say you're doing this on a 30-inch. If I'm going big, I'm going to paint every scale in there. If he's a little fish, like let's say I have a big painting and he's little, I'm not going to include the scales. I'm just going to leave it smooth. So those are just a few tips I do when I paint marine life. My marine life is definitely more stylized. I mean, I have stuff I've done that is photorealistic. Actually, that one borders on hyper realistic. I've got a clownfish up here that you can't see, but usually if I do something where they're smaller, it's much more stylized. So when you copy mine, just be aware of that when you're following my lessons. Yeah, I think that should help. And just when you go into that big 30-inch canvas, be aware that is going to take you forever on the octopus. So don't rush it. This looks great. Slow down is always going to be my tip. Spend a little more time. One of the things that made my work start looking a lot better when I first started doing marine life is when I stopped trying to get the entire painting done in 1 or 2 nights. And instead, one coral, 1 hour, one mushroom, 30 minutes on one mushroom. When I do the whole colony of the corals, maybe that's going to be 3 hours. So take your time, really pay attention to the shadows. Don't focus so much on trying to do, like, I think these are they polythoas? Let's say they're polythoas. I think they are. Actually, if that's what it is back here, then yeah, polythoas. But let's say if that's what those are, don't try to do them all at once. Don't go through and go, okay, I'm going to do the shadows on all the polythoas, and then I'm going to do the highlights on all the polythoas. Do one polythoa at a time when you're learning. Now, eventually you will get to a point where I'm doing it. Like when you watch me paint, I'll do a whole group of them at once. But in the beginning, when you're working on learning accuracy, learning shading, learning all of that, do one at a time. It'll make your life a lot easier until you get really comfortable with it. But you are doing great. The shading looks beautiful there. Just slow down is going to make a really big difference, and work on your contrast more. So like on this one, I would pull my darks way darker on the sponges in the background. Or are they sponge? I think they're sponge. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, okay, those are my tips for marine life. Really nice work. I love the shading too that you did on that copper band. The blue, like how dark you went, I do like that. Okay, let's save. I can only see a corner of this, so I have no idea what I just downloaded. That's dangerous. I should probably look before I pull it up on screen. Okay, we're good. It's a lighthouse. It is not an inappropriate photo. And it says, it is loading on here? Really weird. So I can't see the whole message. Okay, here we go. It's being weird. So this is from Sharon. She said, I'm trying to learn to add ink to my watercolors. I'm new to doing landscapes too, so I'd appreciate any suggestions on how to improve. I could barely see an ocean line in the reference photo, so I raised the water line. Hopefully I didn't make it look weird. A friend gifted a small set of graphite pans to me. She loves lighthouses, so I painted this for her. Graphite pans and ink on an 6x8 cold pressed watercolor paper, Faber-Castell, yellow and orange watercolor pencil for the light at the top. Okay, that is cool. Oh, I like this. I didn't really look at it. Wow. I don't have much. So this is very stylized, but very well done. Man. And graphite, I don't find to be the easiest thing to work with. And it looks great. I don't have a lot on this. The waterline, I would try to make sure it's straightened out more. It's a little bit kind of wavy is my only real complaint. I love the combination, the ink with that. That looks so good. I know I'm not being helpful. I just like it. You can pull a little bit more of your background sky color into the lighthouse and into the house, but not much because this one's harder for me to really give you much of a critique because it is a very stylized look and I love it. Like if I was going to hang this on my wall, the only thing I might want changed is to straighten out that water line in the background. That's it. Like, I love this. you could, in theory, pull more highlight, but even that, I'm like, no, I like the way you've got the highlights around the house and how it kind of fades out with less detail as you move away from the lighthouse there. So I'm not going to be helpful to you because I just like it. Now, I would center this up here is not centered. You know, I'm not even centering my line, but I would center that. Other than that, I mean, I really like a lot about this. Nothing is standing out to me that, I mean, you can get a little bit more creative on the clouds or get a little bit more texture. It's up to you. I think it came out beautiful. I really don't have, I know that's not helpful, but I don't have anything for you. I just like how you've got it. Yeah, straighten the water line. You can do that with tape. If this were mine and I wanted to fix just that, I would probably put a little bit of tape right on this side. You can't see from my hand. On this side, I would put the tape here, and then I would just pull the water up just far enough to straighten that out. But I would keep it soft. I wouldn't try to make it a harsh line. I like if it's soft and fades into the background. This is my real complaint right here. See how it kind of goes up and then down? Like it's just that I don't like that it's all over the place. I would definitely smooth that out. Heck, you could even take, well, no, not with graphite tint. You would have to make the dark go up a little bit to straighten it out. But that would be my only, that and the top thing. But I really like what you did here. Yeah, I've got nothing else. This is good. When it's more stylized too, like if we're going for super realistic where I'm comparing to a reference photo, I can point out the things that are different and the things to make it work. But this is more of a stylized look, and I think that you have just done a great job with that. I know that's not helpful other than, hey, you. Okay. Oh, where was I? That was Sharon. Oh, Sharon did have the reference photo. Let's see. It didn't attach to the first one. I like your art better than, okay, let's pull it up too. I like your art. I like your rendition better than the photo. So let's pull that up again real quick. Just because I didn't see they came separately. That's a beautiful photo. I like yours better. See, I do like the clouds. I think that you could get some interesting clouds in there. Maybe not to the extent that is. I wouldn't do the super dark at the top. I do like yours. Is that showing? Oops. No, it is not, because I put it in the wrong place. Glad I checked that. We'll just do that. So I think that the upper section here, this I would not go as dark as what that is, but maybe a little bit more shape in the clouds could look cool, but it's also not necessary. It's one of those, as an optional thing you could do, but I guess you can say that about any art. You could have done this, you could have done that. I don't think it's necessary. This has more of a cliff and then the flowers up front. That would be an interesting thing, I think, to try to achieve as well. Not that it makes it better. It just would be a fun challenge, I think, because I do like that about this reference photo. That's the only thing that you can go darker. I would definitely, now that I'm looking at this, I think it would add a bit more depth. Darken this up a lot and darken this up a little bit more on this side. So not a lot there. I do like the cliff here. Not even so much the cliff. This is what I would focus on. This area in the foreground. So I wouldn't necessarily change the background. I would just maybe pull a few more defined flowers up front, and the little clusters and clumps of them I think would look neat. And I don't even know that you need it on this one. I just think it'd be neat if you did it again to try it. What if I made the shadows a little darker? What if I made a few more clouds? And what if those flowers, I think those flowers up front could add something very interesting. But again, yours is more stylized and you've done a beautiful job with it. Yeah, the shadows on the front part, the house part of the lighthouse up front probably. But yeah, I might leave this out too. This I probably would skip, because I don't know what it is. And I don't know if it needs, like, is it improving the art? I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe it's like a must-have thing on every lighthouse, and I'm just not sure what it is. So I might not include that. Your bridge or your walkway is really bumpy, but I kind of like it. I mean, again, stylized. I'm okay with it. That doesn't bother me. This does stand out a lot though. Yeah, maybe take that out. Unless, now the exception for me would be, is this like a place that everybody knows this exact lighthouse from that exact angle and that has to be there because that's a part of it and it's going to look weird if it's not? Okay, go ahead and leave it. But as far as like as a piece of art, I think that could be left out. So yeah, there's a little bit more advice for you then. It always helps when I've got a reference photo. Okay. Next. We have, oh, hold on. Is this anything I need? Probably not. I don't know why I'm not flipping this over. Let me just make sure because this is something. Oh, I have to fix. Kim, if you are watching, I will look later or probably tomorrow because I'm going to be half asleep by the time this live stream is done. I will look into, actually, her email. Something weird's going on. I'll see what, I'll see. I'll look into what I can. Okay, and next. We have from Kendra. And let's get these in here. Poppers. Okay. Nice photo. Very good reference photo. Okay, let's see what Kendra says. Let's see. I would appreciate your assessment of my latest attempt at a realistic pet portrait. This handsome fella is just for practice, but I've been commissioned to paint a dog with similar coloring. This 8x10, 140-pound cold press, 100% cotton. Let's see. And with watercolor, I struggled with the and Winsor Newton Cotman watercolor. I struggled with face, and I'm waiting for an order of Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I can't say that ever because I also got a bit lost and overwhelmed by his neck. Okay. I struggled with the face, and gouache didn't work for creating whiskers. I also got a bit lost and overwhelmed by his neck. Okay, got that. So let's see. We definitely want to start creating the look of fur. Right now, he's very flat looking, so we need more highlights. I want to see a bit more texture of the fur on this. So a breed like an Italian Greyhound, or even a Greyhound to some extent, where that fur is super, super short, like super close to the face, I'm not going to put so much of the fur in. But for a lab where you've got like a little bit more, they're still short, but it's a little bit longer, I want to create more of that fur, kind of like with what you did on the ears. So I definitely want to see more detail in there. You talked about the whiskers, you're getting the bleed proof white. You can also do whiskers, add some darker ones. So I will sometimes do like a grayish tone for whiskers there in addition to like white. So that would be a potential option. Now we've got a few things with the drawing. The eyes are not big enough. The eyes are, I mean, if we look at where this comes up, we've got a different shape where we need to pull. Actually, let me actually get the layer in there. Layer, new layer. Let's change my pens real quick. Maybe not that low. So we've got we want to open those eyes up some, and it's going to completely change his expression. I'm just pulling those shadows up. You've done a great job with the detail. You're pretty accurate on a lot of this, so really nice. But we need to adjust the shadows, and this is one of the things that happens. So even if you trace it, sometimes you're line drawing, and this is why I often say tracing is not an instant win button. You still need to learn how to draw, because even if you trace something, things end up not being quite right once you start working as you're learning to improve your drawing skills. And that happens a lot. So you have to constantly check your work against itself. We want to start changing the expression on his face. Open those eyes up a lot. So see how I'm just pulling that shadow up. I'm going to pull that down a bit, the shadow in here. We've got shadows coming in here, like our dark, there's just, you're at a good place. Like there's nothing about this that I look at and go, oh, you messed that up. I want you to start over. I just want you to continue going with it. I feel like it's not at all finished. So we'll now come through. Let's get some of these golden tones in. I can just take any one of them. It doesn't really matter. But we've got to start getting these tones. Otherwise, he's so flat right now. So look at as we start adding these in, what a difference. Oops, that's not, I've got a random line where I don't want it. There we go. As I start pulling these in, we're going to start changing the look of his face. Like it kind of feels like you got up to the ears and you got the values in there and then just kind of gave up when you got to the face. We really need to pay attention to these shadows and make them stand out more. And of course, I want you to take way more time than I'm doing. Like, do a good job. Don't do a half-baked job like what I'm currently doing. But I just want to give you an idea. Watch how things start to shade. Just adding a few of these in here. Shade. Watch how they start to shade. Watch how they start to change. I can't talk. I've been having communication problems all night. And again, I'm doing a very half-baked job. I'm just quickly going through there, but I want you to see what happens as we start creating dimension in this guy. And it's already like there's nothing that you have to undo or change. Well, I mean, obviously you're changing it. It's I want you to keep adding, keep going. So these shadows get way darker in here. Let's just pull the same from there. And even there, I need to go way. I'm going to pull that shadow up even more, widen that eye, pull that out. And then once you get through there, and you've got a lot more to do, obviously. Way more color saturation. The nose is, you're going to want to spend a lot more time on the nose. The nose is one of my least favorite things to do, but to get it accurate, you're definitely going to want to spend some more time there, work on the shading and such, of course, but also if you don't have the shading in there right, it doesn't matter how accurate your drawing is. The drawing's not accurate if the shadows aren't in the right place. So you're going to have to work on that. That will take me a really long time to sit and fuss over that. So go through that. The other thing that I want to see is, so you're going to do more with the bleed proof white, which is awesome, but we definitely want to start getting some of the hint of hairs in here all over the place. So we've got highlights, just, I mean, they are all over. Now be careful when you start with that bleed proof white. It is very easy to go overboard and then you've got to go back and paint it again. So, don't have too much fun with it. But just pay attention to where these highlights are. Now with watercolor, colored pencil is one of my favorite mediums to go over it. You could do that with a white watercolor or a white colored pencil. So on this one, if it were me, I would probably be doing most of this white with either Caran d'Ache Luminance or Derwent Light Fast pencils. Those are both going to be your more opaque colors. Anywhere like in here where I don't want it to be as white, might use a white polychromos. But you've got to start getting the hint of fur. Right now, it's weird because it's almost like flaps like I want to say an elephant, maybe a hippo. I don't know. It's hairless. We want to give him hair. And so these neck jowls, I guess, I don't know. Those don't make sense if he doesn't have the hair on. I'm not even making the hair go in the right direction. Pay attention to what direction the hair goes in. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm just doing this to show you what a difference it will make when we start getting those values in there. And watch when I'll change this brush really quick. Maybe not that opaque. Just to pull some of these highlights so it makes a big difference. Watch. I mean, just getting that contrast will start building so much more. Your color choices are pretty good. So that part is great. But we need to get just more, like around the face, we need darker, everything. So that's just a few. Look at how he's just in a few minutes, how he starts to have form and dimension. So yeah, keep working on it. Start getting the hint of some of the fur in there too when you get that, that white. Also watch that the teeth aren't left solid white. They're actually, do I have it up open still? I do. Oh, I've got a bunch of stuff open. I don't need open anymore. The teeth you've got right now, whoops, that's not what I want. Cancel. you've got the teeth like totally white. Look how dark that actually is. That tooth is like tan. Part of that tooth, it's lighter. It's kind of an off-white, not straight white though, like that cooler white that you really want to darken that tooth, the inside of the mouth up a lot. And really inside of the mouth on the tongue, that whole area needs to be darker too. So mostly lots of things need to be either lighter or darker. You've got it. You're off at a good start. Now you want to finish it basically. And that's one of the things that happens a lot with artists. It's not that anything's bad. Like your drawing is pretty accurate. It's just not finished. And that's the case for most artists. Just spend more time on it. Okay, we don't have a reference photo. This is from Stacy. Is there another email with a reference photo? Nope. Stacy said nothing. Stacy, come on. So, okay, so we'll just go with the first impressions. I love the concept, and I love magnolias, so huge fan there. Spend more time. Slow way down. So it's like, I don't have the reference photo, but I can tell you the flowers don't really need to be that accurate. The horse does. The horse is not accurate. So I would rather see you trace it. Now, you may have already traced it. And like I was saying earlier, sometimes you'll trace things and they just don't come out. If your drawing skills aren't quite there yet, they come out a little wonky. That's normal. It's part of the process. So you're fine there. I love the concept. And I love the way that you're combining the flowers and the horse. Great idea. The horse, I don't have the reference photo, but I can tell. You just want to slow down a little bit. You're fairly accurate. So you have drawing skills. You will be good at this. You just need to spend more time with it. Like I said, I don't have the reference photo, so it's hard for me to really like pinpoint exactly where we want changes. Your whites are solid, like on the horse's head. You don't want that to be solid white. That would pick up something else. Colors around it. So in this case, blues, I would definitely pull blue into the main. Any of the white areas, I would pull some of that blue into. Now, one of the things that is odd on this is just your overall balance. This, the composition just doesn't work. So that sounds horribly mean, and I don't mean it to be. I love that you try that you're combining stuff, but that's also how we figure out that something wasn't quite. I don't know where to look, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You have a I guess my main intention is going to this big flower down below. The horse should be your focus, and it's not. We want to make the horse stand out more. And a few ways that we can do that. One, obviously, like I said, we want to get a more accurate drawing. But we also want to focus on the highlights, the shine of the face. We really want to get that in there. Let me pull up an example. I do have some, let me see. Give me 1 second to pull up. This actually might help a lot. Oils, horse. Yeah, let's use Theo as an example because Theo's dark. Look at the highlights that we have. In this lesson of Theo, it's an older one, but he is on my channel. I have a newer one with a lighter colored horse. But even though it's oils, I think yours is probably acrylics, but it's going to be the same concept. Look at the highlights, the shine in there. That's really what we want to focus on. So for you, in your case, like as an artist and starting your journey and growing, I would rather you right now do studies of just the magnolia. And then I want to have you do paintings of just the horse. Perfect those and then try combining them. Because right now, I think you're making your life a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. I love this concept, but I'd like to see you do it again in a couple of years. I don't think now is I think that it's too easy to get frustrated when it's like, the balance is a little bit, that's a hard one to make work. It just is. And that's not like you did something wrong. It's hard to make it work. And I think right now at this stage of your art journey, I would start on work on one flower, like do a painting, a study of just one of those, and really take your time, copy the abstract shapes that you're seeing in your reference photo, really look at those, really copy those. Look, and they're abstract shapes. If you look at it as, oh, I'm painting a flower, it's not going to come out looking like a flower. I mean, I can tell they're magnolias, so you're off to a great start. But when it comes to the horse, like I would rather do just the horse and just take your time. And really, when you're starting, do smaller studies. Do just an ear, just the nose, just an eye. Do a few of these smaller studies and really just focus on the accuracy and the detail there. And then when you start doing the entire horse, everything is going to look so much more realistic. You're going to be so much happier with the results that you're getting. But we want to back up a little bit and focus on those little studies, little things. And they're fun to do too because they're a little bit faster. So let's say you're somebody, and this is for anybody. If you're super like, you want to get things done in a night or two, do studies. You can get just an eye done in a night and have it look super realistic. You'll learn so much from it. But if you're trying to do the whole horse in a night, it's not going to come out looking quite as realistic as you're probably intending. So that would be like, let's just do an ear. And you're off to such a good start. Like you will be good at this. So don't let any of this discourage you. But I think trying to combine so many things at once, and I don't know what size this is. I'd guess probably a 16 by 20 or so. Mine, to give you an idea, is a 24 by 30 inch. So a lot bigger. I think they were both 24 by 30s for this client, but they're big. It gave me a lot of room to get the detail, but notice the values. I mean, we're both talking about brown horses, but look at the reds, the golden tones, the oranges, so much orange. And then just straight black on the part of the shadow, the neck that's in the shadow. So these are all really, really necessary. And I don't have your reference photo, so I can't see what you were looking at. But watching the highlights on the face, when you choose your photo, it's easy to find photos where it's like brown horse, solid brown, and you can't see the highlights. I want to see those highlights on the face in the reference photo, because if I can't see that in the reference photo, I don't know where to put them in my painting. So make sure that you're getting, excuse me, I'm over here burping like a classy lady. That's what we're all here for, my class. But you want to get these highlights. And when you get the highlights, there's blues in there. And you would definitely want that on yours because you've got the blue background. You want to pull whatever is in your background into your subject. You did that on your flowers, so great job there. But we want to get some of that into the horse too. Right now, this feels like three completely separate things. Horse, background, flower. And that's always the challenge, is trying to make them look like they go together. So right now you're at a stage with your art where you're still learning how to control the paint. That's normal. You're learning how to get the accurate drawing, and you are on your way there. Like seriously, you're going to be great. Like I can see you're going to be good at this, but you're still at that working on perfecting it, and you're trying to come out, like you're combining so many things that are very difficult to do, which good. I want you to be brave and I want you to try things that are difficult, but also in order to like really succeed, I love the idea of breaking it down into an ear, into an eye. Like perfect the eye, get a close up, make sure your photo is good enough. You can just zoom in on the eye and just get that eye and kind of the fur around it. Then do another study, just an ear, just maybe the buckle on the halter there. I love, whenever I do horse portraits, and I have another one coming up soon here. My tax lady, I'm going to be painting her horse. So I'm super excited about that. But the buckles, I love painting buckles on horses because, like, please make them wear their halter and let it be a nice one, because that makes the painting look so much better. So I love that you included that in yours, but maybe a study of just one of those buckles. Get a really good understanding of the structure of those things, so that when you end up doing the whole thing, the whole horse, the whole mixing the magnolias together, it all flows together better. I would love to see 2-3 years down the road the same concept. I would be so excited to see you do the same exact thing. So please don't, some people, when they keep getting better, they throw away their old work. Never throw away your old work. I want to save that because I want to compare that to the current stuff. It's so exciting to put them side by side. But I see so much potential in you, but we need to back up a little bit, I think, in order to perfect some of these smaller things before you start trying to do the whole concept. And it is a cool concept. I think you can pull, like, I have no doubt you can pull this off, but not quite yet. let's back up, do some studies, just a horse, just a magnolia, like just do some of those. And I think that that is going to help you perfect what you're doing. I used to, when I was a teenager, growing up, I always drew horses. My best friend growing up, her constant thing, I wouldn't want to ride a horse that looked like that. And it's kind of a joke now, because now where my art is now versus where I started, like it's just night and day difference. We still joke about that, like 40 years later, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, no, you're going to do good. I really want to see this in a few years, the same concept, but like what you would do, how you would position it differently. Once you've really perfected, you know, painting the highlights on the horse and getting the you'll do good. Okay. Next. There's one. Let's see. Looks like a little Shih Tzu. This is from Dina. Let me pull this up. Oops, got too many things. There we go. Oh, very nice. I love a white mat over a white background. It's just, it has such a classy look. Very nice. Okay, let's see what Dina says. I hope I'm not late in submitting this. No. I drew this with Derwent Light Fast and Luminous pencils on Strathmore mixed media board. My goals were realism, mostly draw sea life, so I struggled to get the details in the fur. I feel like I did a great job on the dog's eyes and nose, but struggled with the fur texture. It's my dad's girlfriend's dog, and she absolutely loved the portrait. That is awesome. So I think I must have done something right. Yeah, and you know, a lot of what I'm being picky about on anybody's portrait, most people look at what we do and we may look at it and go, I see a million things wrong that I could have done better. The person who gets it loves it most of the time. Like we are so much harsher on ourselves than what the person who gets the artwork is. Okay. I love, right off the bat, excuse me. I guess I don't have to cover my mouth when I cough when I'm in the room by myself though, right? At least I didn't burp that time. I love, so this part of the white eye, cancel. I just want to draw on you. I'm gonna get everything set up back. Okay, this part of the eye, I love that you did not include the white very much. Like you've got a little highlight there. I love that you did not, because that would have looked very like eyes kind of bugged out going the wrong direction, and I'm so glad you did not do that. So good job there. Yeah, your fur, I see what you mean. The fur texture, we definitely could get some more fur texture in there. And if you are used to marine life, that makes a ton of sense, because everything with marine life is not furry. I mean, we've got otters and stuff, but for the most part, the fish and stuff, not furry. So I certainly see what you mean. Now, a few things that I definitely would like to see change. Let me add another layer. Okay, we are completely missing the white patch here. When you are drawing somebody's dog, make sure, whoops, that is pink. Make sure you are including all the colors that the dog has. Whoop, that's really wide. I am not doing anything right here. Opacity down. Okay, but we've got the white up in here that we're just completely missing. Now, you did this in colored pencil. If you did the black first, you're going to have a hard time getting that white to come back. So what I would do is take a Faber-Castell ink eraser, or I'm sorry, the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. It's not like a normal eraser, which is rubbery and soft. This is a harsher texture, and it erases more. So I would erase some of that fur and then go over it with the white, and it's going to show up better. So I would certainly just pay attention to where, like in here, we've got definite white. There's just a few areas where I would certainly make that stand out a bit more. I love that you pulled the purples and the magentas. Great work. But get some of those brighter whites to stand out a little bit more. And again, with colored pencil, because it's already dark, use that Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. If you don't have it, you need it. If you work in colored pencils, that's one of my absolute must-haves. Another alternative is if you want to use the Touch-Up Texture Titanium white mixture from brushandpencil.com, you can mix that and paint on your white highlights as needed. So that is really helpful when drawing fur. But a lot of this just needs a little bit more texture in there. You just want to follow the direction that your reference photo has, and it just needs a little bit more, or she needs a little bit more detailing in there. You want to watch the direction of the fur, which you've done, so just keep watching it, I guess, is what I'm saying. You did a good job, keep doing a good job, but we just want to add a bit more. I mean, you are almost what I would consider finished. This is just a few little areas. Watch when you get into the hair in here that you don't try to do a strand going all the way down too much. Make sure you break that up. I know I can't see on the reference photo, but make sure that you're breaking that up a little bit more. But no, that's really it. I would probably also define, well, maybe not. Yeah, I think I would define in these guys a little bit more. Maybe it doesn't need to be exact to the photo, but just give it a little bit more dimension so the shadows feel a little bit deeper. Maybe not as deep as what I'm doing. I'm going really dark because I'm lazy. But I would probably do that and pull a little bit more of the highlights out as well. Whatever, actually, we'll do it this way. So whatever my purple color highlight is there, I'm just going to go even lighter. And, oh, yeah, that'll work. But just pulling a few, maybe a little bit more. Just to get a little bit more dimension, like so that they're not so soft. Like it was kind of get some harsher edges in there, I guess is where I'm going with that. But yeah, a little bit more detailing on that. I didn't do another layer. I was supposed to do, I put another layer on I put a layer on that one. That's why. Here, let's do it this way. Can you tell I'm getting really tired? There we go. Okay. No, I don't need that one. No. Why? I mean, I know why, but still. Okay, so just those few, like a little bit more detail, a little bit more. Watch the markings on a dog. If somebody's dog has a white patch somewhere, make sure you include that white patch because that's what their dog looks like to them. Like you want to take certain artistic liberties, and I forget who it was with the pet portraits earlier that had the pointers and it looked like a Chihuahua or a Chihuahua mix. You can take some artistic liberties, like the direction of the hair, or maybe I'll make the highlights a little bit brighter. But the markings themselves, those you don't want to take artistic liberties on unless it's a random photo. If I found a photo, I just want to show people, this is how you draw a greyhound. And maybe I took a photo of a greyhound, but it's not going to the owner of that greyhound. I can change the markings on them. But let's say I'm painting my bad cow. If I put a white patch that's a little bit lower, I'm going to know that's in the wrong place because I'm with him all day, every day, and it's going to be a little off. So you want to, like, you can take artistic liberties on the way that the hair is blowing in the wind, but not where the markings are. So there we go. No, great. You did a great job. Just, I would put a little bit more detailing with really the highlights are the main thing. You can make some of the darks a little darker, but mostly just a few more strands of fur, like kind of hitting the tips. Okay, next. Oh, we are back to the horse. Several emails went by before that one had come in, so let's pull them back up because we now have the reference photo, so I think I can be a little bit more helpful than I was, hopefully. Okay, horse. This again is Stacy's. Oh, and we've got what Stacy said. So now I see her goals. I checked a few emails before or back, but it must have come in at different times, so like several people sent before her. Anyway. This is going to make a big difference in some of my advice. Well, sort of. I stand by my other advice, but I may be able to be a bit more helpful now. Okay. Oh, that is a beautiful photo too. Yeah, I want to see you just paint the horse. So yeah, I absolutely stand by my advice. Paint just the horse. And now that this is blown up, this is a much better image. The other one was little for some reason. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm just dumb. Entirely possible. Now that I've seen it in a larger form too. I see what you're looking at. Your drawing skills are very good. Or if you're tracing, you're close, but not exact. We want to be a bit more exact. But this is where I still say do some of those smaller studies and watch things. Like check your work against itself. So like little things like here, the the white of the face, let's switch my pens back. The white touches that halter. Yours is way up here. Now, if this is not your horse, you could be doing that for artistic. You can take an artistic liberty on that. But if we're going for accuracy, watch that. Actually, let's read what you said. Here's what should do my job. Painting with somewhat photorealism and creativity, I have spent a lot of time on the horse's neck and chest area to see how it should flow off the canvas to look right. Any tips or advice on this painting is deeply appreciated. Okay, cool. Thank you for sending the photo. So yeah, oh yeah, you've got lots of artistic liberties on the white of the markings. This looks weird. This without the white, this white makes sense. That has a nice flow. This does not have a nice flow. And unless that's exactly what the horse looked like, I would 100% go with what that reference photo had. Because you skipped that part out, it's a weird, this is drawing my attention right off the canvas, and it doesn't need to. So like this, the white markings on the horse, I would definitely keep as they were. You've got a leg. This is not at all. Look at how none of that is accurate. This blue here is completely not in like, not accurate. So this is what I was talking about before. I'd like to see you focus on just the horse and not focus on the flowers right now. I like the creativity. I want to see you do this one again because I think it's a wonderful idea, but I think we need to focus a little bit more. I mean, so much of this, like the angle of the horse's eye is, not quite, we've got a lot of areas that we can improve on. So like just do a painting of the eye. Let's perfect that. And I want you to trace it too. If you don't want to trace the end one, okay, but I want you to trace the individual elements when you do studies so that you're sure they're going to be more accurate. The halter is, not finished, or I think that's supposed to be that, but you're missing. It is just, the halter's not accurate at all to the photo, and I would like it to be. Yes, we can take some artistic liberties, but that halter's gorgeous in the photo. I'd love to see you paint it just like that because it will make your paint, it takes time. I get it. I get why you wouldn't want to. Trust me. But it's going to make it look so good. Like that, I think would be a huge improvement. Now, this would be one I don't think you need to continue working on this painting. I'd like to see you work on a new, again, studies, and then a new canvas altogether. Same concept. I want you to perfect first the magnolias. I want you to perfect first the horse. I want you to perfect those things. And then let's combine them together. But the positioning would need a lot of work. I like to use Photoshop, or you can just use a sketchbook and sketch how you want those flowers positioned. Like I would just put circles, big circles, so I know, okay, a big one here, a little one here. What would it look like if I put a little one here, a big one there? Something like that to get a better positioning, because right now, the flow is very weird. It's very, it's just not drawing attention to the horse, which I think really should be the focus. Then, of course, the drawing of the horse. I mean, we do have the shape in here is not, like this is, it's just not accurate. Parts, it's funny because parts are very accurate and parts are very not. So I think we need to perfect that before you start painting. We want to get and trace it. I'm telling you, trace it. You will learn to get so much more accurate from tracing than you will freehanding the wrong thing over and over again. It is such a good thing for learning. Such a beautiful concept. I really want to see you do this again. Studies first though. Oh, studies would help. I'm excited for you because I know how much this can help you. And you, like, especially when you hit a point where you want to be creative and you're wanting to combine things that don't go together. And you have an idea in your head for, like, I want to put magnolias and horse together. When you've done those studies, when you really get to where you're comfortable with those, when you start combining everything, it's so much more enjoyable because you have the confidence. You've done this individual element. So it's going to be much easier for you when you combine them. And a lot of things, like you said, you spend a lot of time on the neck. It's just not correct. Like none of the neck is. And because of that, because you're not following the reference photo, you're not going to be as happy with it as you could. Is it a pretty painting? Yes. Could it be better? Absolutely. And if it's better, you're going to be that much happier with it. You're going to be so much more excited about it with it. And so I'm excited for you because I think if you do those studies and you really perfect some of those smaller things, when you come back and combine it, it is going to be so much more fun for you and you'll be so much more proud of yourself. So, anyway, there we go. Next. Oh, I'm so glad I came across that one. Okay. I told you guys, I don't open these emails before we start, except for whoever ends up being the thumbnail. Download. Who is this? You and where's the other one? I lost it. It's black and white. There it is. Okay. So this is from Lisa. She said, this tiger is done in graphite and charcoal, black and white charcoal. Can send me 10s, 8x10. When I was addressing the light line under his eye, I accidentally burnished it and could not figure out how to recover the mess I made out of it. So, when we are going to draw mostly white areas like that, how do we not make it so blinding white? Well, yours isn't white enough. So it really, on a tiger, on this, I would make it blinding white. That is one thing that I think would make it stand out better, and especially when you're working in black and white, because right now your white areas are the same value as your orange areas, like same value. So I would want it to be blinding white. I would personally erase that and then go over it with white and let it be blinding. This guy definitely needs more. So you're doing what I have spent way too much time doing in the past, is trying to make it so you can see things that are in shadow. Look at this. This entire thing, black. All of it, black. As black as you can get it to go. Don't try to force. I mean, if we look close, I can kind of see where the stripes come down. Don't force that in there. Doesn't need to be there. It looks weird when you force something that should be in shadow. When you are working on, and especially in a black and white piece, when you are working on something and part of the animal fades into the shadow, let it fade into the shadow. Don't try to force detail you can't see. It looks weird instead of dramatic. We want dramatic. We want those shadows. We want it to fade in. So I would definitely like to see those darks way darker. That is just, and it's changing the shape of his face. His face almost, it's not shaped right because the shadows aren't right. So the underlying bone and muscular structure isn't right because our values are all, very not right. The other thing, so I think one of the problems you're having, your white areas need to be whiter. The orange areas need to be, all of that needs to be a lot darker in value than what you have. I think that you kept everything a little bit more safe, a little bit more mid-tone. And this is pretty. You're doing a great job. Get those shadows in there. That's really what you're missing right now. It looks, because my first thing when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this is not drawn right. But it is. The drawing isn't really your issue. It's that you don't have your shadows. And that makes it look like it's not drawn right, even though it is. So, and this is an easy fix because you can go back over it with your shadows. Now, you said you burnished that. You might be able to erase it and go back over it to get the white whiter, but you want that to be bright. And here's the funny thing. This should be brighter than that. The highlight on the eye is not as bright as the white of the tiger. Let that white be white, because right now I can't tell just by looking at it what is white fur and what is the orange fur. I mean, all of this should all be almost completely black. That is, you chopped off part of his head. Okay, I lied. It is drawn wrong. You're missing a chunk here. That definitely needs to have some fur up there, because right now he's missing an entire section of his tiger hood. So yeah, fix that. The white, again, same thing here. Pull those whites out, but get the darks really dark. You're using charcoal. No, I think you said you used graphite pencils and charcoal. I don't like graphite with charcoal. The charcoal doesn't want to stick to it. And you end up with this weird combination. I've done it a few times and I was okay happy with it, I guess, but I found pretty quickly that when I do a mixed media, I mix those two mediums because it's making my life easier and they look good together. Colored pencil and watercolor make my life easier because the watercolor fills in this great saturated background, but quickly, and then the colored pencil with a fine detail that is easier for me to do that than it is with watercolor. So I'm taking the best of both worlds. charcoal and graphite, they don't play well together. So there's no best of both worlds there. I just don't see any benefit. The other thing that I didn't like about when I did mix the two, I still have some of my old pieces where I mix the two. But one of the other things that I didn't love about the mixture between the two is the graphite has a shine to it and the charcoal is very matte. And it was like, I would do this all with charcoal. I don't see any real benefit to doing any of it with graphite besides the initial line drawing, I guess. I would go charcoal. All of it, I think, would look so much better. And it's not that it's not pretty, but I think it could be even prettier just with charcoal and just that more definition there. Get the whites a lot whiter. The other thing, you've got a lot of details that you're doing in the hairs in here. I wouldn't worry about the individual strands because it seems like that's mostly what you focused on. Instead, I would focus on the bigger clumps of highlights and shadows. This is going to look more realistic, even though technically it's less individual lines that you're drawing, but it's going to look more realistic than, apparently I think I'm a conductor today, but it's going to look more realistic doing that. I mean, okay, don't do scales like I just did over here, but that will look more realistic than trying to do individual strands that I think is what you were mainly using the graphite pencil for. Like here, this is just a bunch of little lines and it looks like just a bunch of little lines. I would rather see, instead of lines, I want to see shape. I want to see shadows. I want to see highlights. I don't want to see lines. And that seems weird. I remember hearing that years ago, people talking about it's just everything are shadows and shapes. It's not lines. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to start with lines. No, you don't. Stop with the line. Like, you don't want to see individual lines. You rarely want to see those. Your whiskers? Yes, we want to see that. Also, your whiskers come out this way more. It's going to look a lot. You've got a few that come down, but look at the difference in the direction that those go. So something else to keep in mind there. But yeah, I think you were off to a good start. And I think you could keep working on this one. Or if it were me, and I really like this photo, and I do, I think that is a beautiful photo, I would like to see, leave this one so you can compare the two and like here's my before and here's my after. All charcoal. I would skip the graphite because I don't think there's a real benefit in using the two together. The charcoal doesn't stick well to the graphite. The graphite doesn't stick super well to the charcoal. Like, they just aren't the best buddies at all. Like, they're the sisters who don't talk because they individually they're fine. You get them together and there's just a family thing going on that no one wants to be in the room for. So that is what I feel about charcoal and graphite together as a mixed media. But you did a beautiful job using the two, and trust me, I know where the challenges are in mixing those two. Okay. Next, we have what is happening here? No, you go lay down. Oh, crap. Hold on. Let me get Matt to let him out, because if he's whining, he might actually have to potty. Hold on 1 second. Matt? Can you let Gibson out? He's at my door whining, so I don't know if he needs to go out. He shouldn't, but I don't know. I don't want to chance it if he's asking. Most likely, he probably just wants a cookie. Okay. This is kind of a weird way for me to show you because it was sent like a screen. I can't save. Can I save it? It was sent as a very odd attachment from Angelina. Angelina, you are a first. No one's ever done this to me before. It's easy because the photos are together, but it also has the text on it, which is like, I hope you're not posting any. Actually, I should read that in case there's anything on there that you don't want people seeing, like an email. Okay, I think you're okay. Just want to make sure there's nothing. You guys will see what I mean in a second, why I'm like, this is weird. What is happening right now? That is how it was sent. Okay, so let's see if I can read this. Picture of my cuz cats with permission. My first attempt at drafting film, polychromos. It's a mess, but I'm learning. What I need help with is how to get the softness. I'm overdoing the hair. Colors are off. Maybe trying with smoothing mineral spirits. Learning how to fix mistakes. My plan is to redo it, try and pan pastels on pastel mat, but might redo on drafting film first to learn more hair direction, shading, etc. Love your mentoring, please. I'm not sensitive. Be brutal. My first brutalness is I don't know why this was sent like this. This is so bizarre. Sorry. P.S. Pen pastel on drafting film over colored pencil. Big mistake. I have not tried that. I could see where that would be a challenge. Lesson learned. Just took off my colored pencil, as you can see on the left lower carpet. Okay. Let's see if I can. Oh, that's 100%. I'm not going to be able to see much. I don't know how much help I can. Wake up. I can be, because this is tiny, tiny. This is the weirdest email attachment. Like the whole, where is my mouse? There is my mouse. My mouse is not cooperating. Yeah, I can't see a whole lot. Drawing is accurate. Your darks need to be darker, obviously. This side of the cat's face is, this whole area is darker. That eye is teeny, teeny, tiny, because there needs to be dark that comes all the way out here. Let the whole side of the face, there's going to be shadow. The white, you've got white, bright white all in through here. That's not, the only bright white is going to be this area. That's it. A little bit up here. The rest of this is actually going to be more of your grays, and you know, a lot darker. If we pull up, and it's accurate, your fur's going the right direction, like all that looks wonderful. So you're off to a great start. So I love that you're going to do this again. What am I looking for? Whoops, not that. Oh, I closed it apparently. Why? Hold on. I need to make another little box. File. Where is my mouse? There it is. File, new. Create. Layer fill, solid color. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened to my last one. Okay, so if we go, can you see this on, yeah, you can see it on the screen. Let's look at the reference photo. Gray, not white. You've got some gray in there, but look at, I mean, this is all, there's no, like a little bit of white in here, not much. Look how dark it gets down there. Yours is still white. Look at the difference in the values there on this cat in the background. You've got some of the darks, but your lights are just way too light. So that's going to be my main thing. Let this side of the face be in shadow and fix that eye, because that is definitely not big enough. Yeah, that's about it. Your darks just need to be a lot darker, and that's going to be hard on drafting film. Well, you did the pan pastels too, so it sticks weird. It's an odd, I've not mastered that. Not on drafting film. I have not really done a whole lot with drafting film, like once, twice. I don't know, not a lot, but it's not the easiest thing to work with or to combine. But in drafting film, you're limited because it's so smooth. It's not, it was one of those that I used and I was like, wow, this is really interesting, and I kind of don't want to do it again. I mean, a little bit I do, but mostly it's not. I think it's one of those, once I got good at it, I'd probably like it, but I don't know if I want to put the effort into it. So anyway, yeah, again, direction of the fur is good. Your darks are just not there. Most of the rest of this is great. You're just missing all the darks. And it's scary because this is kind of a weird photo where the focus is really dark. So I wouldn't mind you pulling out a few highlights, but it's too white all over the place. So there's just no dimension. Like the tongue needs to be a lot darker, like everything, the shadow under the carpet needs to be a lot darker. So yeah, that would be focus on your values more the next time around. Get those darks in there really dark. And then, do we have time? No, we are good. Okay, that actually works because we are at the beginning one. I'll be doing these again in the future. I don't know when, because we're going to get into doing some actual paintings coming up next week. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see, what medium, what subject you want to see next week. It has to be something I can get done in, an hour or less. So keep that in mind. Some of you guys request some things that take way too long for a live stream, but for simple things that I can do on that, let me know if there's something specific you're looking for. And I don't think there's anything else. I think that's about it. We'll be back in the studio next week. I have, oh wait, go cancel. Oh, I have photos I could actually show you really quick of, yeah, let's just pull this down because we got a minute. I want to show you, I took some photos. Did I post them? I don't know if I posted these photos online anywhere. I posted it on the fish forum. Let me pull this up. Studio. And thank you guys who are brave enough to submit for critique. You are awesome. Let's see. I've got way too many photos in here, so let's see where I saved them. I'm loving being in the studio to get work done. Okay, I did not save them there. Were they under video? Oh, actually, they were saved under critiques because that makes total sense. This is why I can't find stuff. So here is the studio kind of midday with the light coming through. You can see Dragon's Tank off to the side. Oh, no, you can't because I don't have the right thing up. There we go. There is Dragon's Tank off to the side. I've got all the way over here. This is it's a kitchen island, which it seems weird, but it is the most handy art thing. Having a workbench has been wonderful in there for like packing paintings, which I need to get more packed. Like it is so nice. Here is a better color of the window so you can see a little bit more detailing there and how the color really looks. So the goldfish and the crow, and then the seahorse and the mushrooms and the snail. I really like that. How the goldfish is my favorite. I'm working on the dart frog vivarium. So the moss is all brown right now. It will end up being green everywhere, but that's the new bigger, it's Dragon's old baby tank. So that's going to be for my dart frogs. I just am letting the moss grow in before I move them over. And then I've got tadpoles that'll hopefully end up in there too. But yeah, these are the things that I've been working on. Dragon, I think you guys have all seen Dragon's tank, but here's a better, he was in his cave at the time I took this photo. So yeah, when you go in there though, like my easel is off. So you can see my palette is sitting here on the table. My easel is over in that corner, but it is like the whole atmosphere in there. It is so fun to hang out and paint now. Like I actually want to go, it's a space that I want to be creative in. It makes me feel creative walking in there, which is so cool because my office has felt more complete and I love working in here, but I never really loved that room because it was just like my view were other people's roofs. And it's not a pretty, I mean, my backyard's pretty, but it was just, I don't know. It just I didn't feel very creative in there. And this changed everything. Like those windows, that's done with gallery glass, the painting. If you're on Patreon, I have a video showing you how to do that. So if you want to do that to any years, and I did these as window inserts. So I made a wooden frame, really badly made wooden frame, and took plastic and glued it. I used a hot glue gun, glued it to the back of it, and then painted with the gallery glass, the design. And that way they pop in and out of the window. So I'm burping still. Oh my gosh, so classy. So, yeah, it pops out so I can open the windows or if I want to let light in or whatever. So yeah, it is. I've not finished with it. I still need to get lighting, different ambient lighting in there. I'm working on that. But, oh, and then I do have one other photo. This I love. I put towel bars up. These are just like, they're gold towel bars, double towel bars, and an S hooks to hang all of my acrylic paints. I can find things so much, but I've shown you this before, but yeah, it is so like, it's such a fun room now. I'm loving these, and they weren't expensive. Okay, the gallery glass was kind of expensive because those windows were huge. That was my most expensive part of this. Well, maybe the kitchen island. Kitchen island wasn't bad. It was like $400. So, I mean, expensive, but it's a business expense. So it was worth coming out of my business account, but it's, the windows were a little bit more, but like the carpets were super cheap. They were like $30 ones. They were not expensive carpets. So yeah, anyway, there we go. I think, let's see, have expected Gelfing to wander through your pictures. I don't know. I should know who that is. I sound stupid, don't I? Gelfing. What's Gelfing? I'm guessing it's a wizard. I don't know. And it's multiple rugs. It's 3 cheapy, like in the $30-ish range. I found them on Amazon for like, they're washable. Although one of them, the edges kind of came off. I need to sew that back up. But washable was a big thing and cheap. I loved. They're not like Crystal from Dark, or Puppets from Dark Crystal. Yeah, I have not seen that in forever. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you, moderators. We will be back in the studio painting or drawing something next Wednesday. And thank you to every single person who's brave enough to submit. Like, you guys are awesome. And those of you too, some of you I know are embarrassed to submit because you're afraid of what I'm going to say. honestly, the beginner stuff helps me a lot too. You know, it helps other people, because whatever challenges you're facing, when I can give advice on what I would do differently and what advice I would give to my students in person, it really, you're helping other people every time like we do one of these and you submit. So thank you so much to every single one of you who submitted. And I know there are a few who still wanted to get stuff done, but they submitted like 2 weeks late. We'll have more of these in the future. Thank you again, and I will see you guys yes, next week. That's it. Where's my buttons? I don't know where my buttons are. I think that's it. Bye.